Turned veteran, you wrapping up that set. Up next, hip-hop you've been into.
Yeah.
See a reflection on the glass. See yourself in the mirror.
Like a mirror, right? See it right there? finishing up with plenty. Some of your faves in 2023 coming next. Gonna start with Me Drift by Me Drift. Catching some breakcore and shoegaze vibes with this one. Let's hear it.
Thank you, Sam. Right now, we're still in that early gesture phase. It's very sketchy. It's not clear. It's me processing everything. It's kind of pixelated on Instagram a little bit. I'm gonna restart the live on Instagram. Oh shit.
Slow-mo closing out that set. Next, I got Square Enix music, that kind of thing. it up there with Masashi the Mouse. Coming next, Nothing But Rock, starring with Scarlet House.
What up? No bunny. Thanks for the smiles. So right now I'm primarily focused on the main figures in the foreground, the midground, and I'm thinking about how the line of action is flowing. So how is their position oriented? Where's it all pointing towards? Where's the most momentum pointing towards? So you'll see, like in this case, this figure, she's kicking, and all that momentum is coming from here. So all of that is following up to here. Everything's complementing this impact of her foot kicking this guy's face. This character, I'm still trying to figure out his pose, but he was way back here and he sliced him up, and now he's all the way over here in the foreground. So I'm going to make some kind of motion that indicates that. And I do like this kind of being like his arm. He has like sort of a, he did some kind of attack. So maybe he has like flames coming off. And I'm thinking about his legs, like, is it... I don't mind him stepping, kind of like stepping in a land, and then that leg in the back, sort of off in the distance. So it's going to be around here. First. it starts off as scribbles, and gradually it starts to turn into a clear image. You don't want to rush this beginning process. This is where you have the least commitment to the image. You know, where you can move it around. Think of it like clay at this stage. And as you continue and get committed to the poses and the backgrounds, and you begin to tighten up, you use finer and finer tools to kind of pull out what you're drawing. So here's the focal point. So what I'm gonna do actually is just kind of go around. I just want to make sure it's clear. There's a lot going on in this edge. This is 2 pages as one, so it's a double spread. Not thinking about any details. I'm just kind of putting, like I said, basic shapes with a clear pose, a clear direction of the pose. And you want to really get your characters in there. If you're doing a piece that's just a background, that's a different story. But you have characters, a background, and other things in the shot. You want to try to lock in those characters because they will tell you a lot about the environment, the perspective, how things are flowing. You know, you don't work backwards. You don't do it where you just set an environment and then you drop characters in there, because what happens then is you don't have the characters being the star of the show. You have the background sort of leading. You want the characters to lead, and so what that will do is it'll imply for you as an artist where the background is, how it's situated, how everything's situated. And it creates a more, it emphasizes those characters further. This is stuff they won't teach you in school. You can't learn this stuff. You gotta actually get in the, step into the jungle, and figure out, cut through those, the long grass, tall grass. You find a snake, you figure it out. You got to go in the jungle for this stuff. And, you figure it out for yourself, really. It's really important that you'd be surprised. A lot of teachers, they don't actually know how to draw. This is something I learned when I was in art school. A lot of teachers, they're just talkers. Let's put it that way. They don't genuinely know how to draw. They just do it because it's something they found themselves involved with, but they didn't take it to a level where they were trying to bring their imagination out of the page. This is something that you don't find a lot of people do. It's more, if you're into like abstract art, it's a little more difficult, but if you can make your imagination come to life, you're liberated, you're free, and then you can really be a massive threat by doing that. You can really shake things up because people start saying, oh, whoa, this is original. What the heck? I've never seen something like, whoa, what the heck? So you don't want to be just following your teacher. You don't want to just be following your favorite creators. You really want to be spending time alone in the jungle. You gotta get there. And you'll figure out your way out. So right now, you guys probably can't see these faint marks I'm making, but it's for me to kind of situate where all the different body parts are, how all the different things are interacting in a slightly more committed drawing. Once again, I have no problem erasing these things, you know. This is that early stage where the concept is so raw that really only you know what's going on, you know. And this is the most important stage. I'm not worried too much about detailing. I'm just kind of making sure I can see the sides, because what these side planes indicate, see, like for example, there's the bottom of this microphone. You see this cylinder, this half right here. This tells me, oh, okay, so we got the perspective going in these two axes, which it adds more dimensionality to the piece, gives me more of a solid understanding of how it all sits together, how it all exists on this perspective. And another thing is that I want to teach you in art school is that perspective is very malleable. You know, you can teach perspective. You can teach 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point, fisheye, all that stuff. You can teach all that stuff. But the truth is, you don't really follow a formula when you're drawing. You're not supposed to be, at least. If you're doing realism, yeah, okay, that's nice. You can use your formulas and you could, you know, draw what you're seeing that's right in front of you. But if you're drawing straight out of your mind, you have a lot more flexibility. You can break the rules of perspective. You don't have to have a strictly 1 point perspective shot. You can mess around, add some different dimensionality to it. You know, it depends on what you're going for. Depends on how abstract you want to be. It's up to you. You know, it's up to you. Okay, so we got this character over here. So she's pretty locked in here. Here, let me just. Oh, that's great. This guy's a mess over there. This is where his head would be. So you guys know. Looking down here. Just moved so fast from all the way back here. Almost like he's taking a step under there. And his other leg's kind of like flying back like this. Head and neck, abs, hip, leg. Okay, now this hand, I don't want it to sit. I got it back here. This is where his shoulder would be behind his head right here. But it looks weird. It's weird at this angle, so this is kind of modify that. tricky because you don't really see his shoulder, so it makes it feel like it doesn't belong to him, not his arm. So we want to kind of show a little bit of that shoulder, maybe some of that chest. Here.
Super Heaven closing it out. Now we're gonna rage a bit. Not the flip the table kind, just some
chest,
music with
rib,
intensity. Leading the way, Nocturne's kiss.
his leg is coming out a little bit in perspective, shooting out almost, so it's going to be a little more obtuse towards the viewer's eye. And it's going to shrink back there. Okay. What I want his arm to be. Like this arm has like some kind of shredder, ghost, chainsaw attack that he's doing right here. Maybe we can have. Should we actually put his arm back up here? Maybe he just has one arm down. No. Okay, we'll revisit that. You know what? Maybe you should be turning his head a little bit to the side. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this one. Okay. I'll get the other one as well. This one's chipped in. Right here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this will kind of be off in the distance a little bit. So this is his forearm. This would be his fist. We'll figure that out later. And instead, you know what? Let me see if I can bring his neck out instead of having his head here. Neck goes. Yes. Let's just do this. So we'll put like a cylinder now for his head. Figure it out over here. The really important thing is you don't want to tighten up on one area until you've worked. You got to work wholesomely. You got to work cohesively on the whole page at the same time. And so you're constantly referencing different points on the page and checking like, okay, does this work with this flow? So this is something really important that I had to learn the hard way, is that you can't bring one aspect of the page to a finish while the rest is still like at level 1, level 2. Oh. I don't know why I got off. TikTok got off on the live, so I'm going to restart that real quick. There we go. Okay, let's keep going. Alright, so we got this giant King Kong sized demon in the back. He's lifting the top of a Wall State building. And then he got one of his arms chopped off, and he's spitting fire out here, right? It's supposed to be coming out here. You got the skyscraper right here, the top half being lifted. News reporter, main character getting kicked in the face, other main character kicking him in the face, other dude, other main character who sliced up the demon. Then we got the crowd down here. So we got one guy who has these, in the story, humans are asleep, which means they can't see fairy tale creatures. And there's these special sunglasses, kind of like those Men in Black glasses, called soul specs, that let anybody see like the fairy tale, see the weight of the soul of the fairy tale or the human or whatever. And so we got this character down here who was a human that was asleep, who by accident got a hold of these soul specs, and he's trying to warn everybody else, like, hey, look up here, there's a freaking giant demon. There's a massive threat up here. You guys gotta be ready, beware. And the camera crew, everybody's not paying attention. Right, so he just looks like a psycho. So this guy will be done here. He's trying to warn them. This is Gumshoe, that's his name. But we're gonna get into him in a second. He's trying to warn them. Okay, I'm not gonna flip this. I think his arm is going to actually be leading. So we're going to be... The camera guy over here. He's irritated. He's gonna be like, get out of the way, man. We're not concerned with details. We're just trying to place the different characters and the key parts of the picture down. Just the basics, the core of the picture. So this guy don't even look like a cameraman right now. This is his arm. He's gonna have that typical cameraman hat here. Camera right here. When you go online, what you're gonna find is funny. You'll find people drawing something spontaneously, and they'll pencil it, they'll ink it, and it's like, whoa, they just did it. It's like a magic trick. It is a magic trick. What they're doing is they have already a certain set amount of images that they've kind of memorized through muscle memory, and they're just pumping it out, right? They have like certain things, certain aspects of the image that they know how to combine together to create new images, but it's not a whole wholesome piece. It's just like a one-off character or something like that. Or it's just like whimsical and fun. That's great. But a lot of that stuff is kind of like a magic show. It's not what really the process looks like. Those are people who've like practiced that one image or those aspects of that image in particular so often, right? That it's become muscle memory for them. What the process looks like is like this: malleable, shaping, gum, clay, whatever you want to call it. In the very beginning, a lot of the time, if you were to take the percentage of the whole process, the whole time it takes, most of the time is going to be in the thinking part of it, that beginning phase, where you're starting off scribbles, you're figuring out where the things there are, and you're pulling them out, slowly bringing them out into more and more committed forms. So don't beat yourself up if you're like, man, I can't draw like so fast and good. Like, those people can't do it either. If you actually ask them to do something, you know, on the spot, they'll have a hard time. They'll have to like go to their reserve of shapes and like try to create something out of that, and just use those shapes. And it's more like they're playing Tetris, right? And they're putting these things together and it looks nice, yes, but it's not the same when you're working from, you know, a particle level. You get me? Like, you're actually building fundamentally from the ground up. You're not taking these shapes that are already set and like putting them together. A lot of you won't understand what I'm saying. When you watch those artists and you see drawing things very fast, or you see my page and you see me doing it very fast, it's just a magic trick. It's just entertainment. Really, it takes a long time. And this is the longest part of the project. It doesn't look like anything for a huge while. So you gotta have a lot of faith. You gotta have a lot of confidence and belief that what you're doing, what's coming out, is something worthy of putting in all that time. What up, Sergio? Thank you, brother. I'll try to check the chat every now and then, guys. My bad if I missed you guys. Appreciate y'all for checking out the live. I know this is the most painful part for a lot of people. Like, ah, what the hell am I looking at? Don't worry. They'll get there. I'm just kind of dropping his torso. So, unfortunately, his arm in the foreground, this main character over here, is blocking this character back here. So I'm just going to draw through it. Don't be afraid to draw through, especially at this stage. You should be drawing through the objects, the characters, whatever you need to make sure that these characters are situated right on the page. I think, you know what, he's trying to warn people. So this guy right here, maybe he should have both his arms up. Or maybe he's got one arm straight like this. His chest is going like this. It's just, this is blocking that so much. Okay, let's just forget about that other arm. Let's put that torso in. Torso. Legs. You know what? He would be shouting, so I'm assuming maybe he's covering, like he's putting one hand next to his mouth, and then the other he's like shouting. So he's pointing. don't want to cover his mouth, his face too much with his hand, so. Yeah. Cool. Now, is he shouting towards us or is he shouting towards these people? He'd be shouting towards these people in the background. Maybe towards everyone, right? So he'd be like going this way. So his eyes and going that way. I don't want to show his back. I want to show his expression.
Wrapping up there with You Love. Up next, I got a vibe that's all about happy days and good times. It's upbeat, it's feel good. Well, you'll see. Across 8299 up first.
Okay. So we got Senbai, we got Lucy, we got Soccer, we got Wenry, we got Gumshoe, we got the camera guy, we got the crowd in the back, we got the demon, King Kong-sized demon spitting fire and carrying the top half of the wall state building. There's gonna be more elements in this picture, but the other elements that are in this picture are secondary or tertiary. These are secondary parts, and the tertiary parts is I wanted to include in this story world. There's this thing called televators. It's the main form of transportation. It's basically like an elevator with a space, a pocket of limbo inside that you could create a whole room out of, and it could be huge inside, but on the outside it just looks like a small elevator, right? And so there's like different factions or different parts of the government in the story called the Cloud. And one part of the government called Cloud 8 deals with the cleanup, deals with making sure humans stay asleep, and they wipe memories, and they make sure that any incidents that happen, that it is explained logically away. So they have their own type of televators I want to put down. I have these I like the idea of them swarming down from the sky. So they have these little televators coming down from the sky. And what this will do also is it'll increase that sense of dimensionality in the pieces, increase that sense of perspective, because we're seeing different sides of different planes, different surfaces, and it makes for a more interesting dimensional piece. So like this. You want to try to do patterns of 3. If you're doing something that, these types of additions to a piece, a tertiary element to a picture, you don't want to have too many even-based quantity of these things. You want to have a sort of asymmetry, which is usually in odd numbers. You have asymmetrical patterns laid out. If everything is organized and that's intentional, that's another thing. But if you want to have a more enticing piece, a more interesting piece, it's asymmetry is your best friend. Work in 3s and odd numbers and play around with that relationship. And that also goes for size of things. And you'll have very big objects, you have very tiny objects, you don't want to have them all the same, so these are all looking the same, right? So I need to throw in some bigger televators. So these are all looking a little the same. I need to throw in some smaller ones to give that sense of scale difference. Play with that ratio. Thank you, Hima King. Appreciate you. wish I could position the camera better for you guys. On Instagram, you guys got the best view, I'll be honest. But still, even then, that's still kind of rough. Because this is 2 pages taped together. I'm working on the double spread here. YouTube and Twitch, you guys have the worst angle, to be honest. Let me fix that. I have to go far out for you guys, but it's not gonna do it. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Uh-oh. We're just gonna cut some of the bottom of the page for the YouTube guys. It's a little hard to capture double spreads with these setup I got going on here. Instagram, if you guys want to see the best view, I'd say go to the Instagram live. You can see everything. Pretty much. And this TikTok view, unfortunately, is super angled. You can kind of see everything. So you guys are okay. It's just gonna be at an angle, really steep angle. All right, let's get back to it.
Okay, switching it. Some pump up energy coming.
Okay, where were we? We were adding like tertiary elements into the piece. Let's see. I think we're gonna save this for Senbai's attack. And we gotta link it to this, and you want to make it feel like that he's moved far across the plane of the picture, right? And so if he was here, he must have been like super tiny right here, right? He would have probably been like this big, maybe smaller. Sliced him up, and he jumps all the way over here. So he's going really fast. So gonna be like this. And then same thing with her. She was up here, and she's coming in to kick Soccer in the face. And Soccer was having an interview. They're secret agents, so they're not supposed to be on live television and shit like that. So she's making sure he realizes that. Okay, so, alright. Then we got these other buildings. Background. There's a lot there. All right. Let's try to clean it up a little more. I kind of do want to add far off in the sky, way up here, the Cloud 7 station. So, or maybe the whole like cloud government like way up here in the sky. So let's say I added it. And you got the main headquarters of the cloud government. It's called Drakenfrey Castle. And it's inside the city called Unity City. Okay. Other stations. Okay, where's the sun? So the sun is far over here. Oh, woo! God, the sun over here, but the flames spot. Oh no, it's up here. Okay, so the sun. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put the logo somewhere too. The logo and the credits and the subtitle as well. So where's that gonna be? Where is that gonna go? Should I do a vertical logo right here on the side? But it's nice to have that space where it's not too much going on. So I kind of want to keep that like that. I can put it down here, but it will cut off her elbows and her arm probably. So it'd be like here, or I could put it right here. It's gonna cut off his chest, but at least it's not blocking his limbs, so they don't feel like they're floating or from another person or something. Logo. Nah. Where should I put this freaking logo? Where should I put it? Best viewers on. Okay, dude, get out of here, bro. You know what? It will get clearer as I go. Let's try to tighten up this characters a little bit. Have everything positioned. So I'm gonna get my kneaded eraser. I'm just gonna go over it a little bit, try to pick up some of that graphite. I don't want to have this structure side of the picture showing too much. We got a lot going on in this piece. we still want to be loose. We don't want to be committed even now. Even though we got a lot of it set up, we want to be pretty loose and be able to really capture the expressions and push the expressions, push as much as we can still. You know, a lot of people, they get a stiff grip on the pencil and they start to really stab into the paper. You know, you don't want to be doing that at this stage. You want to be loose. So this character is getting kicked in the face. So he's being kicked, and we're gonna see a little bit of the bottom of his chin, like underneath his chin. What do you call that? In between the neck and the chin. I don't even know what I call that. This little, you know, part of the head underneath the chin. You see a little bit of that. Jaw is going to be way back here. Adam's apple. He's being kicked in the face, so we're going to see his cheek rippling as the shoe lands with unrelenting force. And so this rippling is going to affect his face. I like to go cartoony with it, so because this is like more of a comical moment, I'm going to break up his teeth. Maybe even have some teeth flying out. And he has like a serpent on this character. And then, of course, we're going to have some tears coming out. Scar. So we're just going to get this. I would assume blood is coming out of his nose, right? He's getting kicked from the character who's coming up all the way from the top of the skyscraper, so it's going to be a lot of impact. He's got blood coming out, he's got his teeth flying out. This is not a good day.
Finishing up there with Lil Uzi Vert. We're going to hit Spotify's daily top 50 now. First up, a song from Tyler, the Creator. Tyler's kaleidoscopic Flower Boy paved the way for his hit out. Check this out.
So you already see, you're starting to see the misery that this character's in. Slowly but surely. Even though with these small chicken scratch marks that I'm making, very loose, you can tell, oh, okay, I can see the basics of his expression Okay? We don't even need more than that, to be honest. At this stage, once again, we're trying to move. We're working on the whole piece at the same time. We're not staying stuck in one area. We're constantly moving and keeping it refreshed and everything having clear reference to each other. There will be a point where you just, you tighten up, you clean it up in each spot, but that's at later on when everything's clearly referencing and situated properly. Good. Okay, and then of course his tie is gonna be flying out. Give me a sec, and I gotta change this songs.
Now some songs from Spotify's weekly top 50. Up first is
No, you had your chance, man. You had your chance, DJ. 8:22. We're good. We're on a roll. We're on track. Let's keep going. What are you drawing? It's so cool. Thank you so much. This is still very raw, but what I'm drawing is a double spread of the first story arc in my story Demonation. It's a manga, and I hope to take to Shonen Jump very soon. And it's a story about basically like Men in Black, but without the aliens. You have the whole fairy tale book of fairy tales pretending to be human, living amongst humans, and this secret government called the Cloud that has to make sure humans stay asleep to the truly magical world they live in. Let's get some key aspects of this character in. Keep it loose. You want to be fast. This process. You don't want to be, camping out in one area of the picture. There's a lot of space on this page. Remember, it's 2 pages wide and long, so you don't want to fatigue. That's another thing that's really important is when you're drawing, you are using a type of energy. Just like when you're running. You're using your stamina, right? Your body gets tired. It's like, oh, I can't do it no more. Oh, I'm so tired. And then you start to hear your mind start to complain and all this. Well, you have a similar kind of energy you're tapping into, right? But it's not based off of your body. It's based off of your mind, your mental stamina. And so you can train yourself by over and over and over spending time on a particular area when you have so much left to do. And so it's very important you start to attack the piece in a efficient, strategic, and cohesive way, where you're hitting every part in a basic level, and then you're coming back, you gotta keep it moving. If you don't, what you'll find is you're gonna run into stagnation, and stagnation leads to procrastination. Procrastination leads to no nation. I don't know. What rhymes with that? Leads to no demonation. Let's put it that way. Okay. So now we got this character. And so right now you can tell what I'm doing. Okay, this is his tie. Okay. I'm putting in what makes up the character's design because I already know how this character looks like, and I'm not going crazy in detail right now. I'm just kind of placing how it would look like, and so now you guys get to see what I see. you guys get to see a little bit of what I'm seeing in my mind's eye through this step. This is the sketching phase. We just did the structuring, construction, gesture phase, and now we're getting to lay on some of the design work, kind of make things stand out, clear. Makes it easy for you guys. Easy for me too. Alright, let's keep going. It's so cool. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. I would say this is really important, especially in our age, in our era that we're in with, all the ADD, creating technologies that we're distracted by on a constant basis. The best thing you can do for your mental stamina is to stay away from your phone until you put that drawing in or put whatever you need to do in. Do not go on your phone. Do not go scrolling. Do not go pick up the video game. First thing you should do if you're drawing, if you're an artist, and you want to make that mental stamina work for you and not work against you, don't pick up the phone. Not until you at least get to a certain place in the drawing. Okay? Then you can go chill out. But it's important to understand that the same thing that scrolling on your phone or playing video games on your phone, whatever you do on your phone, the same kind of fuel that you're using is the same fuel you're using to create. So, know that, and that's intentional. They do that on purpose because the goal really is not to create, to make a nation or a generation of creatives, because that's dangerous. You understand why that's dangerous? To have creatives putting out what they're seeing in their mind's eye, it's because you're bringing in new information that isn't controlled, right? And that's dangerous to the system that wants to keep you stuck on your phone, away from your imagination, away from what God gave you. It wants to keep you limited, so you're not able to express what you have in mind, because everything in this world that we have, it came from, obviously it came from God, but you don't use that language if you don't have that understanding. It came from an imagination, right? It came from the mind's eye. And so you have to keep in check anything that wants to take your mental stamina away. That goes for technology especially. So draw before you scroll, before you play video games, or do whatever drama you have in your life. Do the drawing, do the work that your imagination can benefit from, that you can express. Otherwise you're in a hamster wheel, and you're going to feel very tired when you're producing work and trying to express what's in your head. It's already hard enough to figure out how to draw in the first place. Where's the shoulder? The shoulder is going to be back here. It's blocked by this shape. There. That's fine. That's fine. Let's go on to another character. Senbai. Here. So I'm right now I'm trying to capture the main figures that are in the foreground, and I'm not thinking about all the stuff I still have to draw, right? Like, oh, I have to draw these guys, this character's in the background, this thing over here, that. No. I'm not gonna waste my mind standing on that. I'm gonna focus in on what's immediately in front of me, which are the characters in the foreground. Alright? So let's see, how is he situated here? I don't know if TikTok could see that or Instagram. Comments are kind of blocking that part of the drawing. Try to move it up for you guys to see. It's so hard because it's at an angle. I'm drawing this portion right here. And for sure, YouTube can't see nothing. So let's go like that for temporarily, and I'll move the camera again. Okay, very good. So let me actually try to lock in where his shoulders are. It's a little hard to tell. So we got his arm. This. His laser here. Okay, and he's accelerating forward. It's almost like he's stepping. Want to be loose, fast, energetic, almost like a lightning bolt. You know, your lines can appear like a lightning bolt if you want to think about it like that, where it's almost unpredictable and loose, but energetic and vital. You know, it's got that movement that you want. Bottom of his foot or his shoe. Yes. Leg. Other leg. So he's kind of in perspective, so this is going to be shortened. It's a little off for me. We'll figure it out later. I want to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Did some kind of attack over here, sliced this guy's arm up, and freaking jetted all the way to this part of the picture. I think, you know what? We're gonna change it up a little. We're actually gonna make him kind of looking down almost, and you have his hair kind of coming down like this, like a rooster a little bit. I think that'd be cooler. He's gonna have his sinister smile. worried about the details right now. Just want to put clear. It's going to be really probably has some of his hair. Off, you guys bandana. Sideburns. Ears behind the sideburns. You're not going to see most of this here. Okay. I want to show some of his neck. Some of his neck. You're not going to see a lot of it because he's kind of leaning forward with his head. He doesn't button up his shirt. He doesn't tuck in his shirt. He doesn't button up his shirt. This is more of like a wild kind of character. Senpai. He's like unorthodox. He does what he wants. Doesn't follow the rules, of course. So he's not going to follow the uniform rules. So that's his tie. Okay. So you're already seeing by just kind of situating where his eyes are, that helped me identify where everything else kind of sits. And that alone makes the piece pop out, just by putting that in there. The reason being, I think, is because we're kind of built to recognize faces really well. And so, just a simple symbolism of a face, like you can tell what it is very easily. Okay, let's keep going. Still in Scribble City here. This is his blazer. The inside of his blazer. The outside of his blazer. Okay, then we got his other arm. Do I want to have his arms kind of like going like this? Or like maybe one almost like this, as if he's got a basketball? But you know what? Soccer's hair is covering that, so let me make sure that it doesn't get inflated. So you know what? We'll just do. He's got a very dynamic pose, so it's a little tricky with the Senpai. How I want it all. So he's got his belt over here, his Cloud 7 badge. I'll have his other. Maybe he's doing two like ghost aura shredders, ghost aura chainsaws. I don't know what to call it, but he's doing some kind of attack with like shredding blade, fiery blades that are wrapping around his arm. So you know what? Here, just like a clarifier. I'm gonna get rid of this. This is is where the original position of his arm was going to be. His other arm. Now I'm going to put it back here. It's cooler that way. I'm going to make sure his hair is over it so it's clear. What's up, guys? Welcome. Thanks for joining. We are about 25%, 20% done. Maybe 15%. We've got a lot more left. But it gets easier as we go because we're building off of this foundation right here. We're setting up. Okay, so we're not worried about the details too much. We just kind of want to have the indication of where those details would be. Alright, and so he has some kind of trigger, shredder, ghost aura attack he does. You can have the traces of the ghost flames kind of leading from all the way back here, where he starts off all the way back here in the picture, and he zooms out, like zips out all the way over here. So, okay, so for this part, imagine he has like a sort of trigger for these shredder ghost aura blades going on over here. This would be his finger, his trigger, he's pulling it. Knuckle, knuckle, knuckle. Okay, don't worry. It looks like scribbles right now, but it'll get there. You can tell based off of just the little bit I put down, you can kind of tell that that's his finger and he's pulling some kind of trigger, right? Now though, it's not about that detail. Okay, so we got the blazer right here. This is his let's have his tie. His tie wouldn't be that one. His tie. It's going out here. Go. I like it. I like how it's going. Okay. He's got ripped jeans. He's probably got a chain. Pocket chain thing. Like that. Cool. Okay. We can get into details later for that. And now, once again, we're focused with one thing in mind, which is working on the whole piece, putting in the necessary indication, and then coming back and working on it again, building up in layers, like you would in Photoshop or Clip Studio. Let's fix that angle. Why did the live pause? What the hell? My bad, y'all. Accidentally turned off the camera. Okay, so I'm just fixing the camera up a little bit. So got this TikTok looking good, Instagram looking okay. And we gotta go YouTube and Twitch. That's the best I can do for Twitch. Sorry, guys. Double squares are a little tricky to shoot. Okay, so now we're gonna do Lucy. So she's kicking Soccer in the face from the top of this skyscraper, flying down. Okay, so that means her hair is gonna be up. I'm thinking about the momentum, thinking about the story behind the piece. You shouldn't be drawing characters to be these porcelain, beautiful, statuesque figures. They're alive, they're moving, and they're in a physical realm with laws. You understand? So you want to think about how they're interacting with the space they're in. You don't want to be creating statues, man. We're not in the business of statue making. Okay? We are in the business of bringing characters to animated expression, towards movement. So she's coming in, her bangs are going to be flying up. That's what I'm imagining. Alright, so we try to put down these eyes for her. He is pissed. Now, the thing is with Lucy, she has her hair in a bun, and it creates this like iconic part of her design, you know, like her hair. She has this thing, so I do want to show that. Let me see if I can make some room for that. But I do want to show that. And that's another thing is you're not creating real life. You're not creating anything like that. You know, when you're doing this stuff, drawing out of your imagination, you can break the rules, and you can bend the rules, and you can make things that shouldn't be visible. Why? Because it fits with the design, it fits with the aesthetic. And so that aesthetic is much more important than trying to be 100%, oh, it has to be exactly right. And no, that's not how artists are thinking, you know? They're thinking in terms of, a lot of the times, of, does this look aesthetically correct, pleasing to my mind's eye? So she has this like bang. It's like almost like a little flamethrower, little ball of fire. She has. So. It's a different way of approaching art. It's a lot of these things they're not going to teach you in school. I'm telling you guys, this is stuff you have to spend time drawing to kind of figure out, like, oh wait, I don't have to be restricted to these rules that you know, I've been taught or whatever, and that I see in physical reality. No, I could push it. I could make it so you do see her hair. I could make it so, you know, the lighting is a certain way where it's more dramatic, right? Instead of it being more realistic. And we can still modify it. Remember, these lines I'm putting down, they're super loose. That means low commitment, which is good right here. Right? We're still playing with that clay. We're still shaping the image even now. It's nothing, there's no rule that you're supposed to have the image figured out completely and it's gotta be like a stencil. No, that's right. You don't get cool shit like this. You don't get cool shit like this. That's true. You won't get that unique look if you're doing that because you're essentially using a cookie cutter. And that's not what we're doing here. We're playing with a much more fluid energy, a much more fluid line that can illustrate entire worlds, right? And illustrate entire lives, entire characters, it's different. We're not dealing with no cookie cutter, pre-Photoshop package. Oh, place this here, click this button. No, it's very shaping and very malleable, very active. Thinking she's got her tie right here, she's got the blazer, this going over her chest here, this. You're building, constructing the image fluidly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fluidly. You want to be loose in this beginning stage. And the beginning stage is what takes the longest. Right? The beginning stage is what takes the longest. It's important. The rest of it is pretty quick. Pretty quick compared to the beginning stage. So really, don't move on from this stage until you're satisfied. Otherwise, you're going to regret it. Genuinely, you're going to regret it. When you get into the piece, you're like, I feel like I could have pushed it more. Some people have a lower bar of like being satisfied of pushing their drawing to different directions. That's great, but I'm more of an explorative artist, so I like to explore the universe on the picture plane, you know? Like, what is this? That's how you can come out with these cooler, dynamic poses. It's by just putting in that time in that early stage and getting the picture where you want it to be. I want to show her wrists, and they do wear those white gloves, you know, to cover their tracks. Those what do you call them? Those white cloth gloves. But these gloves are actually in the story. They're nicknamed kid gloves because they're supposed to aid in the characters when they're trying to produce their ghost aura, right? So it's like their chakra, their chi, whatever you want to call it. They aim it like guns, like this, right? They can do it in different variations. Some people just do it like that traditional blast way, and essentially they can create a whole umbrella of different strikes with their ghost aura. But that's the most basic level of the kind of battle system we have here. So right now, this is the first arc. You're looking at the first arc's double spread. So I'm gonna use those kinds of early stage moves. I'm gonna showcase those early stage moves that you're gonna be seeing in this arc. I could actually make it so she is doing that actually. Now let's get to the rest of her body. So we got her skirt. And I'm gonna say there's a lot of perverts in the manga industry. I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing, I don't know, but they always like to show the upskirt shot and do all this stuff. You're not gonna have that in my series. You're not gonna have that unless the character is a character that's like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if a character uses her seduction in that way, that's a different story. That makes sense for her character. But what you'll find is that a lot of the female characters in anime, they'll always try to like make them show like a more I don't want to say the word seductive side. I'll just say seductive side. And even though the character is nothing like that, right? It's just because, you know, fans. It's all about pleasing some of the perverted fans. You know, what are you gonna do? But that's not where I'm at. That's not what I'm doing. These are characters with lives and outcomes that are consequential to the whole story world. And it's a reflection of our own world. Not too worried about the details, like I said, but I want to put basic detail in there so it's clear. When I go in again, it's going to be easier to just like piggyback off of what I've done and make it even more intricate. How this leg is coming out. It'd be cooler if her leg is like, she's coming down from this skyscraper way up here. There's gonna be so much momentum that it's gotta be bending. She's probably bending her leg, her back leg. She's gonna bend her shoe. Appreciate you, Omar. Thank you. Thank you, dude. I hope you guys can see from that angle what I'm doing. You guys want to see a different angle? Check out the Instagram live with the same name. You can see the full picture. Because I have multiple cameras kind of running, so I don't have enough positioning to do that. Put them in the best angle for the viewers, unfortunately. Okay, let's just do basic shapes. I don't want to get lost in this. So we're going to just put down the don't want to bog down the paper either. It's starting to get a little soft in the center, and I don't want to rip the page or anything. Okay, we're good. We're good. Yes. Stop. You guys can tell me. I want to kind of close that skirt up a little bit. Yes. We'll deal with it later. Now let's move on to the next characters. All right. Okay, we got Gumshoe, we got the camera guy, we got the background crew, and we got Winry over here in the foreground. And we got the demon doing his thing up here, and that skyscraper. Okay. How else we do it? Stretch. Whew. So Winry. Basic expression for now. I'm not worried about detailing. It's more about placement, if anything. Keeping it loose. This is her collarbone. Shoulder. So this is the human that's asleep. She's a news reporter for Newborn City, Good Morning Newborn City News or something. And they were celebrating this grand reopening of this restaurant that burned down 10 years ago in this citywide fire, okay? And they're celebrating how they finally got to rebuild it to help this this guy rebuild his restaurant and stuff. But it goes deeper than that, obviously. And they witnessed a crazy spectacle, and she was interviewing Soccer, the main character. She's interviewing, like, hey, what the heck, tell us who you are, da da da. And he was just about to spill the beans, you know, because he doesn't know how to keep a secret. He's a secret agent that can't keep a secret. And Lucy's coming in, making sure that he keeps that mouth shut. But again, this is not the whole story in a page or something like that. This is a tribute to the arc. So I'm going to try to encapsulate as many elements that happen in the actual story of the the first arc. It's like the first 3 chapters, pretty much. But these are beefy chapters. Like each chapter, I think the first chapter is 72 pages. The second chapter is 40 something pages, and then the third chapter is 40 something pages. And then it goes into the regular 20 pages. But in that first arc, I'm trying to capture as many elements that are exciting, but don't give away too much, but give enough to tell you, like, hey, this is kind of what's gonna happen in the story. So we're gonna worry about like the hair and all this stuff later. So let's make her necklace kind of fly off a little bit. Add a little more movement. I always try to find moments of motion that I can push in the drawing. I don't like things to just feel like flat and stationary, you know? Hold up, guys. Let me close my window real quick. It's probably hard for you guys to see, so I'll zoom into Winry so you guys see what I'm doing over here in this corner. I'm sorry, YouTube, I don't think it could zoom in too much. It's just you guys are too much at an angle. So I'm gonna have to leave it like that. YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I could leave it a little more. There we go for Instagram. As close as I can get it. Let's keep going. Okay, so. Okay, so she's gasping. She can't believe what she's witnessing. You know, she was just interviewing him, and then now he's getting kicked in the face. She has no idea what's going on. So we're just gonna put some basic. She probably has like a watch. I think she had a watch last time I remember. She does kind of have really long arms, so I want to shrink that a little bit. I want to make sure this is not perceived as her collar of her shirt or her dress. So I'll make sure these elements stand out and that this feels like a pendant necklace that is kind of flying to the side. And then I'm going to make sure that the clothing is clear. Once again, don't worry about details too much, but you want to have at least the placement, the arrangement of the momentum clear. Not necessarily those details. Okay, so basic shape, arm, and that's it's okay. It's okay. We don't need more than that. We know what's going on. Now this has got to get fixed up. So big shoulder. would assume. How would I have to rearrange her pose? Let's see here. Just because it feels off right here. Shrunk that other arm. I think I'm gonna have to do the same thing. It's a little too buff. This whole angle's looking a little off. I gotta get used to using this thing. To go like this, so I'm gonna make it so this more. This is too fat for her. Alright. Other arm, she's gotta be. So she's reacting. She's shocked. One hand is covering her mouth gasp. The other hand's probably like backing up. You seem like, what the heck? We gotta work on her shoulders a little bit too. Concerned a little bit, I would say. Like, oh dang. So her thumb, her middle, first finger, middle finger, her forefinger. What is this called? What is this finger called? Forefinger? I don't know. Pinky. Okay. There we go. Okay, so if it's over here, then we gotta rearrange it. We gotta rearrange it. Shoulder would end up over here. Here's what we're gonna do. Distance. A little tricky. See, like when you change a little part of the pose, it kind of shifts the muscles around, the length of things, and you have to kind of keep in mind that. That's why it's important to be loose at this stage, because you want to catch those things right now, rather than later. You've committed so much time, you've committed like ink, you've inked it, and then you're like, oh, well, that looks kind of off. Chest, this. We could clean it up later. I just want to make sure that the arrangement is correct. That's good enough for what I'm trying to achieve right now. So let me go ahead. Let's go zoom out again. See the rest of the page. still gotta do these background characters and the skyscraper with the demon at the top over there. Now, you can see everything. Good. Good. Okay. For TikTok, we kind of cut off a little bit, but you should be able to see most of it. The Senbai is a little cut off for you guys. Same thing with Instagram. And YouTube, you guys, that's the best I can do for you guys right now. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. Alright. So we're about done. We're about done with the main figures in the page. Let's get Gumshoe in here. So Gumshoe he's trying to warn his fellow asleep humans that, hey, there's a giant demon up there doing some crazy shit. Lifting the top half of the Wall State building. You guys, we gotta run for our lives. He's trying to warn them, but they just think he's some crazy guy because they can't see fairy tales in the story. They can only perceive humans, even though there are fairy tales around. So Gumshoe is trying to warn them. He's using everything he can to warn them. He has the soul specs on so you can see what's going on. Did get punched earlier in the story, so it kept annoying them. And the people, one of the characters in the scenes, he's the owner of that restaurant I was telling you guys about that burned down, and they're like celebrating for him. That guy's actually a fairy tale. He's a fairy tale citizen. He's disguised as a human. He's a troll. He's actually a troll. Like, that's his race. And he doesn't want this incident with this demon doing all this crazy shit to ruin the publicity that he's getting for his restaurant. So he says these guys are magicians and that this is a magic show. So the humans that are asleep believe it, right? Why wouldn't they trust him? And it's only Gumshoe, who's in the crowd, who accidentally found the soul specs, that is able to see what's really going on. He's trying to warn them, but he's just scaring the crowd, and people get annoyed and they're like, dude, you're scaring my girlfriend, and punch him or something, and he loses his tooth. So nobody believes Gumshoe, but he's risking everything to wake these guys up. Let's not do his hand right now. I gotta move his hat up. Interesting thing about Gumshoe, when I first created Gumshoe, I had no idea that Gumshoe meant detective. I actually named him Gumshoe. His name is Jack Gumshoe. I named him Jack Gumshoe based off of how people were treating him. So they treat him like gum on a shoe. Annoying, nobody notices it, but it's clear. Like, it's very noticeable when you take a step and your shoe is stuck. So that's why I named him Gumshoe, but it coincidentally turned out Gumshoe means detective, and this guy is a private detective. So interesting things happen like that a lot with the story. A lot of characters, especially with the villain, the main villain in the series. I got his name by accident, and it turned out to be like the devil's actual name, which is a trip. But yeah, sharing that name. It's not the name you think. I want to show that he's screaming from the top of his lungs, trying to warn the people. Fix that up. I'm not going to put in those peoples. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do want to put the shape of his eye, that his soul, the sunglasses, the soul specs. They're going to be on. There's these red lights that stick out of the soul specs. Perfect. You can see where his eyes would be. He's trying to warn the people. He's got big bushy eyebrows. Cool. Can you guys see it? You guys can barely see it. Let me zoom in for you. That's a little better. Let me zoom in for TikTok. You can kind of see. And so he's trying to warn the people. Collar of his coat. And he's got gloves on as well. He's got this blue and yellow striped tie. So he's yelling. I kind of want to show his tie flying a little bit, not too much. Out. Cool, we good? Alright. Good. Fix this one. Keep going. It's important when you're working on your own stories, making your own story, that you have a, unless it's a short story, if you're trying to make a huge fantasy story or something like that, you really want to spend time in that story world, okay? Because what you're gonna find is that a lot of the characters, they naturally pop their heads out when you're creating the story world itself. You'll ask yourself, what kind of conflict they would have in this region? What are the resources here? What's the religious beliefs here? What is the situation? And from that, you have these natural figures that will appear, you know, in the story world, in your imagination, that fit in that universe, that fit in that conflict, that fit in it. So in this case, it's a secret agent-based story. You got secret agents, and of course, you're gonna have the human perspective that lets us see what's going on. Gumshoe, right? He pops out. We get to see. He's kind of in between. He's between the asleep humans and the people that are awake, right? That can see the whole story, what's really going on. And so he's caught in between. He sees both sides, and we get to experience that perspective. And so that's really important. When you're working on your story, and it's a big story, get lost in that world so you can find the many natural perspectives that pop out of that story, right? And those are your actual characters. That is where the story is going to be told from those perspectives. A lot of the times, we'll do a cool character design and then we'll build a whole story around that character. Well, that's one way to do it, but it's not I don't think it's a cohesive way to do it. I think you could do it that way, and that's fine, but it becomes a very a main character-centric story. And with a big fantasy world, like Game of Thrones, or One Piece, or Lord of the Rings, you have many perspectives, many angles to tell the story from, which make it that much more, you know, cherishable, that much more immersive. I think that's what really makes a story, is that the world feels like it's authentic and that the characters feel like they belong to that world. If you don't have that, then you just kind of have like a video game, or just like a talent show or something, you know? Soccer's elbow, covering his leg. Yeah. And with this kind of stuff, when it comes to creating from your imagination and all this stuff, it's okay to show people, but it's really important to remember that a lot of people, they're not going to get what you're trying to do, right? And so don't be seeking anyone's validation. And this is something that's very hard for us, because we want to know we're on the right track. But you know, that's what it means to spend time in the jungle. When you're in the jungle, you're alone, and you're gonna have to figure it out for yourself. So don't be seeking validation. Rather, find if the characters that are coming out, if they're validated by the story world they're in, right? And so the validation should come completely from within the own universe that is taking place, not from outside the universe, your peers or your whatever. Because a lot of people, they have egos, and if you're showing something that's, you know, potentially threatening to the size of their egos, a lot of people will lie to you and say this is not good when it's actually good, or they're blindsided, right? And they'll say this is not good, but they're just blinded by their ego. And so, really important when it comes to the craft of pulling things out of your imagination, putting it on the page, understand that it's a very subjective, personal experience, and the validation exists from within that image scape, that you're creating. Not from people outside getting it. It's not where you want to get it from at all. So otherwise, you're just gonna end up being a slave seeking validation from people who don't even know how to draw, right? Or tell a story, or they just care about how good they look and how much money they have, whatever bullshit, So focus on really getting lost in that world of yours, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself when you're creating these epic fantasies, these epic imagination states. That's probably the most important lesson I had to learn growing up. Is you can't get any, really, very few people are willing to really be respectful when it comes to sharing what you're working on. A lot of people, they want to compete and try to compare when they don't have any chance of even competing or comparing, because they're not even playing the game. They're not even trying. They got fragile egos. Okay, we put him there. He's there. It's clear where he's standing. Now let's get this camera guy in here. All right, it's 9:30. We started this piece at 7 or 6:45, I want to say. So we've been working on this pretty freaking rough sketch, right? I would say it's pretty sketchy still. We've been working on it for almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours. But we got a lot done, I would say. We got a lot done. And a lot cleared up. And we're creating a pretty unique experience here. We would have stage lights. Now that I think about it, we would have stage lights over here. Camera guy. Move out of the way, man. I'm not using any reference images. They say you should. Yeah, it's great. Depends on how realistic you're trying to make your story. If your story is not about being ultra realistic, but more like symbolic and abstract, and you can get away with just using your memory of how you think things should look like. It doesn't hurt to use reference, but you don't want to get uptight. You don't want to be in a position where you should be lost in your imagination, but you're so uptight trying to get this reference correct and all this. Man, that's not how you do it, man. You gotta enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy it. You'll find that artists like Ichiro Oda, for example, or artists like the creator of Soul Eater. If if you pay attention to their art style, you'll find they don't really use too many references until they absolutely have to. Like, let's say they had to do a train, and they want to make it more realistic, but they don't. You'll find that they have a very abstract, malleable style where you can tell what's going on, you can tell how things look and what is what. They don't get lost in that reference limbo. I think I'll put another light, stage lights. What do they call it? And they're taking a camera shot outside. There should be a third one. Third one somewhere. I think right here would be fine. Just maybe more off in the distance. Standing there. Let's try to get those background characters behind the bar, the fence. Background characters, I'm not going to put too much detail. It's just going to be basic shapes. I will add them later, but there's just too many of them to worry about that right now. So we're just going to do basic construction shapes for these characters. And more of them. There's a lot from this. Alright, we're almost done with the initial sketch. And I think all we got left, besides like the buildings, is that demon up here. So let's just put in the base basics of that skyscraper down. The shape of it. I'm not gonna add any windows or any of those details yet. And then I want to make sure that this guy is lifting it. Probably have a very veiny, pumped up thigh and leg. I'm not going to get into that detailing right now, but it's definitely going to be using a lot of his strength. His muscles are going to be popping out as he's carrying the top of a skyscraper. We're probably going to do another round of pencils. This is a double spread, so that's pretty good. For a double spread, this is 2 pages worth of drawing. There's a lot of space to fill, a lot of picture elements going on in this piece. So we're going to go in again later in the next slide. We're going to make the tighter, much tighter pencils, much more committed pencils with more details and everything cleared up. And so when we come back for the inking, I go and I turn on the light pad, it's gonna be easy to ink and then easy to color. Okay? So let's try to finish this. We're about done. Remember, we're just doing the basics, the arrangement of the figures, their faces, their expressions. Probably be yelling. So in this case, so let's try to get, since we're kind of looking up, I want to try to get his body from bottom to top. His lifting, so we're going to get rid of that face real quick. That angle, that right angle, I just put it like that. It's important because it gives you a sense that he's lifting it up. And so he's actually got, I think, his horns inside the skyscraper as well to hold it up. So let me just put like where his face would be. When he's yelling, he's gotta be yelling. We're just gonna put like a basic mouth, basic face for now. Doesn't have to look like anything beautiful yet. This is his chest. And he got his other arm chopped off by Seba, who's here, so. His tail. Just chop it off. up. Okay. Okay. Boom. All right. Okay, so we took it. We're gonna end the live right here. We took it to a place where we can tell what's going on, where the sketch is clear, and now we're just gonna build on top of that, add those tertiary picture elements like these televators, this city in the sky up here, stuff like that. Probably place the logo somewhere in this double spread. And then we're going to tighten it all up and get it ready to ink. We're going to end the stream here. Thank you guys for checking out. I showed Instagram up close. Let me show TikTok. Sorry, Facebook, I can't move that camera. Alright, a lot of perspective, a lot of movement in this pose. You got a lot of action on this side, more calm, not as calm, but calm movement on this side. Okay guys, thank you guys for checking out the live. I will be back later today to get this thing done. And for you guys to tune in. So I'll see you guys. Thank you for joining. Later.